Have I been cooking on the wrong level of my Kamado style grills all these years? Well, the data is starting to suggest that might just be the case. I say data-driven approach is anytime that I can get some actual facts to go along with what I'm experiencing and tasting in the flesh. I think it only supercharges any of the claims around making better barbecue. So if I can get some data that actually proves this out, all the more reason I think it's a great idea to adapt in your cooking. And there's already been a number of breakthroughs on this. First, a couple years ago, my first development was on the double indirect setup. And I've got numerous tests and results that prove, along with thousands letting me know in the comments or people who have bought the book, they've unlocked some of their best brisket, pork, ribs in a Kamado style grill that they've ever had. Second to go with this is the adaptation of cold smokes. This is one that I started adapting what Cooper was doing at Barre Barbecue, and I got a chance to cook for him in person. But when I flew there, I didn't have all my normal tools, including a double indirect, nor did I have my pellet tube smoker, and I discovered the wood flavor that I get cold smoking absolutely trounces some of the acrid smoke that you can get from a pellet tube. And when I did my cold smoke video comparing a pellet tube versus this method of using a small amount of charcoal and real wood flavor in a blind taste test, once again proved out the benefit of using real wood. And this is exactly the method that had Cooper raving about the smoke quality that I was able to produce on a Big Green Egg at Barre Barbecue versus what he's turning out for service for customers in line at one of Texas Monthly's hottest new places. But one of the things that I've wanted to tweak and refine is simplifying double indirect. And so I partnered with one of the nation's top universities to do some CFD studies a year ago. And I left them with a bunch of questions, and the early results are coming in. The main part of our study has been the optimal placement of the deflectors. And so while they had no trouble replicating the same benefits and the results that I've shared, so check on that, the placement is not ideal using some of the third-party tools that were available just off the shelf in order to try and space our deflectors. So we're working on optimizing that for even better results. And I started reaching out to manufacturers of getting some people that might be able to help me make this for Kamado Joe Big Green Egg grills and simplify the process and give you the absolute best results. But in this CFD study, there was a hidden gem, which is the power of cooking at the top level position. So whether you're following along on a Kamado Joe or a Big Green Egg or anything in between, harnessing the hidden power and potential of cooking higher up in your grill might be, I think, one of my third biggest and latest discoveries in terms of turning out even better results. Let me fill you in on the details. So like many discoveries, what I've uncovered here is in part by accident and other part trial and error. So last year I started experimenting with using the Dojo as a smoker. But when I was cooking things like brisket or pork, while I definitely got an amazing bark, the close proximity to the stones that were under sort of like under an inch where the cooking grate was sitting was burning the bottom of my brisket and my pork. And so in a members live call, I do those once a month. Feel free to check that out if you want to join later on. But a member came up with the idea, which is why don't you use your top rack and get a little bit more clearance from those hot stones in the Dojo. And I got an immediate better result. Later on, when I was doing another experiment trying to pack in as many pork shoulders as I could, and I was using the upper rack, I was puzzled in the taste test why the pork shoulders on the upper rack tasted better than the ones on the lower rack. And while it didn't matter for service, I was mixing everything together. I've been on a quest to understand more about why the pork tastes better in one location in the grill versus the same product cooked elsewhere in the grill. And what I've come up with for today's cook is going to bring all of the secret ingredients together. So one, we're going to be on the top level to get the benefit of the heat signature along with the more volatile smoke signatures passing over the food, so we get more smoke touch points, which makes a better tasting result. Speaking of better tasting result, we're going to do the cold smoking method that I tried while I was at Barre Barbecue, which is using the top level of the expander rack system. You could try and adapt this in a number of different grills. If you have something like the Series 3 Big Joe behind me, for example, you might be able to get away on just the top rack. If you are curious, well, what if I were just to buy the expander rack and put it inside the Kamado Joe? They are interchangeable with one caveat. This works, I've tested it on Series 1 and Series 2 Classic and Big Joe models, that they are interchangeable. You can use either system in each one, but the Big Joe Series 3 rack will not fit in the extra large Big Green Egg, nor will it fit in the Classic because it is 4 inches taller. And if you were tempted to get the sliding rack system, which is really cool on the expander to be able to solve the fire management issue, it sits too low in the 4 inches taller Big Joe. So the Series 3 is the one and only one where you do not want to be cross-shopping from one brand to another versus sticking with the accessories that you have on your own. But if you have a Big Green Egg and or a Series 1, Series 2 and are tempted into the expander rack system, I've absolutely fallen in love with this solution. It's, I think, the best that I have tested out of all Kamado brands so far, where we're getting more clearance from our food, so it has the highest headroom in terms of being able to actually fit something underneath. That was one complaint that I had last year on Kamado Joe's racking system. Is not even tall enough for something like a pork shoulder to fit underneath, and I had to build some aluminum foil balls in order to prop that up. Not only does it have more clearance, it also is the most workable, especially for doing what we're going to do today, which is running our cold smoke fire. So I'm going to build a small bed of charcoal, use my grill blazer grill gun, get those coals completely fired up, leave everything wide open so that we're not getting any unnecessary heat into our extra large Big Green Egg, and then place a couple wood splits right into that fire so we get good combustion right away without raising the temperature too high. If you'd like, if your wood is a little damp, I'm using naturally seasoned wood, not kiln dried wood. If you want to understand more to the why of that, I go into all the details in my smoking wood guide, either for Kamado Joe or Big Green Egg or Primo grills. There's a PDF available for that. But the punchline here is kiln dried wood is sort of 1 to 5% humidity. The naturally seasoned wood that I'm looking for is in the 10 to 20% range, and this is going to give me more flavor. The same thing is true at Barrio Barbecue and all the places that I visit in Texas in terms of the wood moisture level of the wood that they're serving to get even better smoke results. But the expander rack system is going to make quick and easy work of being able to load in extra wood splits as I need all day. And in order to make sure that I'm getting good clean combustion at all times, I'm going to leave the top of my regulator cap wide open and the bottom vent just barely open. I normally use things like a pinky, but we're like half a pinky in terms of measurement. It's just barely open and visible. And every time that I've done this, I've been able to maintain around 200 degrees Fahrenheit with pretty consistent temperatures for about 30 to 45 minutes or so before needing to add another wood split. The game plan is just to keep adding wood split for our cold smoke phase about every 30-40 minutes as needed for the first 2 hours, and then I'm going to transition into hot smoking. I mentioned earlier that the CFD study is giving me the actual data on the ideal placement, and so the ceramic grill store Spider is not ideal, and I've reached out to them to see if they'd be interested in manufacturing a proper double indirect rack system for me, as the spacing is not what the data says that we want, but that's what I had available. If you don't have that, for the time being, until anything is actually available for sale and you can get sort of all the CFD validated goodness behind unlocking the maximum performance of double indirect, just go for spacers, fire bricks, or anything that you have accessible to get an air gap, and I'll keep working on trying to get you the full Monty version available hopefully in the next year or so. That'll be something available to share with you. So the double indirect setup, if you haven't heard of that, I'm just going to place a set of deflectors, have an air gap, put another set of deflectors, and the reason I'm doing this is going to allow me to run a cleaner, hotter fire, reduce about 200 degrees Fahrenheit of stone temperature on the stone sitting directly below our food, and unlike normal, we're going to have even more clearance since we're going to be using the top rack in terms of getting even more distance from those stones. I'm using the Kick Ash can as my drip pan. I tested a whole bunch of these in the past, whether it's smokeware or Kick Ash can, but I love the tabs on the Kick Ash can for getting a little bit more clearance. So this is something I discovered where I bought last year when I was doing turkeys, and I actually wanted to save the drippings versus them going nuclear. And the same is true for these long hot smokes, where a deflector stone in something like pork, it collects a lot of fat, and fat sitting in a pan directly on a hot stone tends to burn and put a little bit of a bad smell or taste on our food. And so by getting those little feet, we get a small air gap on our drip pan, and it again improves the quality of what we're smelling and tasting. So that was the game plan for that, and I just wrapped that in foil to make cleanup even easier. I was tracking along with my meter probes to keep an eye on things, especially if I was wandering out later on in the day. And once I was confident the bark was fully set, I took the opportunity to wrap things just to make sure that we get great bark. This is a hard one to explain, but you want to make sure that you can't remove the rub with your finger, and you've got nice smoke color and nice bark. You want bark which can look black but is not burnt. So burnt is really, really black, and the outside of your food is turning into charcoal, and that won't shred or have a pleasant texture. It'll just taste like fried, burnt pork or brisket or whatever it is that you're doing. And so once I saw the bark was looking absolutely amazing, I wrapped in foil, which was somewhere around, I believe from memory, the 165 degree Fahrenheit range. Took that up to an internal temperature of 195, which is a little bit below where things would be from a probe tenderness perspective. So I could hold that in my holding oven at 150 degrees overnight, which brings you to right now. We're getting ready to dive in for our taste test and see how our bone-in pork shoulder came together using all three of my best Kamado breakthroughs. Well, I already can tell it's tender, as it was a struggle to get it into this foil pan without it wanting to fall apart. So that's a good sign. But I've tried to keep it as in structure as possible. Let's get some gloves, get ready to start shredding. Start here with our bone. Nice clean pull. Again, another nice clean pull, everything's off, looking good. Shred into it. Oh, so good. I'm hoping that's coming through. You don't need me to tell you that this is a good looking pork. The smoke on that all the way through. Near only a small spot without a smoke ring. Looks amazing. Great bark. Super tender, juicy. Oh, we are in for a treat. It's time to bust out the smell-o-vision reference. YouTube, you gotta invent this, because this looks and smells amazing. But I don't think you need me to tell you it looks amazing. I hope that was coming through on the shred. The bark is out of this world. The smoke ring, out of this world. The tenderness and juiciness, out of this world. This was a joy to shred, and I hope and I suspect it's going to be a joy to eat. Only one way to find out though, grab a piece. Yeah, I know I'm making it a bigger piece than it needs to be, but if it looked this good, you'd do the same, right? Cheers. That is ridiculous. Just like I said last year when I was doing those 6 pork shoulders on my Big Joe, and the ones that I sampled from the top rack were at the time the best pork shoulders that I've ever done. I did that with the pellet tube method. And like everything else that I had tested it since doing that cook at Bar A, where I used the real wood splits, the cold smoked cheese, and today's pork shoulder, along with a few other things just for our family and friends. This is next level. So adding the real wood, 200 degrees Fahrenheit for about 2 hours is a great time to start if you're going to give this a go for the first time. Maybe 3 is as far as I would take it, but 2 to 3 hours is plenty opportunity to give us the benefit of the bark and some amazing smoke. This is fantastic. There was no dry burnt bottom spots, in part thanks to being up higher level in the dome, so we're not sitting directly above hot heat deflectors, and not that it would be an issue since I did go for my double indirect setup. So everything here is exactly what we'd want. The smoke, this is darn close to, you know, offset quality. This is something, don't take my word for it, take Cooper's Texas Monthly's, one of Texas Monthly's hottest new up and coming barbecue places.
I love the flavor. I love the sweetness. Love the acidic tone to it. The bite. There's nothing you can improve on that cook. That was a great cook.
If he's impressed with the food that I could cook for him on a Big Green Egg, I think you're going to be impressed. So I want to hear from you. Let me know. Do you absolutely love it? Give it a go. Did you hate it? I want to hear that too. Let me know down in the comments how this method works for you. But I think you're absolutely going to be in love with it. In fact, you'll never want to cook low and slow on your Kamado grill ever again without adapting this cold smoke double indirect method, and using the upper level of whatever Kamado grow you're following along with. But that is it for today, though. I am James from Smoky Dad Barbecue signing off. Remember, don't be afraid to fire it up. I might have been rushing just so I can do this again. Oh my gosh, like guys, it's big enough. Maybe I could share. This is so good.